Hey, everybody. I'm Robert Pierson, Vice President of Recruiting with Mesilla Valley Transportation. We have a couple of guests with us today. We have Nimmer Neer. She works with the Rig on Wheel team there. And we also have Josue Fierro. He works with the MVT side of the house. Kameel's not with us this week. She is in New Orleans. It turns out there's a conference. So the rumors of her being down there for Mardi Gras are not correct, but we'll keep moving forward nonetheless. We'll have Kameel back same time, same bat channel next week. Looking forward to that. A lot to cover today. A lot of questions that we're going to have for Josue and Nimmer. They're going to be able to give you a really unique perspective from a recruiter's point of view. So as a prospective candidate looking for that next driving job, we're going to have a lot to talk about on that, and especially in segment 2 this week. Nimmer, good to have you with us. How are you doing today?
Good to be here. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. I can't complain. And Josue, how about you, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great, my man. How about yourself?
Hey, I can't complain. This is the favorite part of the week for me, the sole reason to show up for the job, and so I'm looking forward to it. And we're going to have a lot of Q&A with you guys coming up here. Like we do every week, let's talk briefly about hot news, what's going on in the industry. If we look at freight patterns, we were kind of curious, as we talked about last week after the safety blitz in the middle of May, what would happen to freight volumes. If you look at the spot boards, freight volumes literally dropped 17% over the course of 17% over the course of the week for last week. Dry van rate stayed about the same, still sitting at $1.99. That's an all-in rate when you go through spot markets. The one encouraging thing in that metric is we're now sitting at about 5.2 loads per truck, and that's kind of a Mendoza line for the world of dry van. So 5.2 loads per truck. If we can stay above that level, gradually you will see rates come up. Reefer, you're sitting at about 1 cent per mile more this past week at 246. That's an 18.8 to 1 ratio of available loads to truck. And flatbed, you actually took the biggest hit this week, going down 11 cents a mile at 230 all in, 6.3 loads a truck. Again, we're waiting to see that huge drop that comes traditionally after the safety blitz. Rate go up because there's fewer trucks on the road. You end up seeing that take place. Safety blitz is over. Trucks re-enter the marketplace of supply and demand, and we're kind of not necessarily surprised by that. With that said, we're going to watch it over the course of June, July, August. Definitely want the second half of the year to be much better from a capacity standpoint. Again, the clearinghouse has taken out about 160 to 180,000 drivers. If you also look at the average age of a driver in the last 3 years has gone from 56 down to 48, which means a number of older drivers left the industry after COVID, which should mean there's a supply issue of drivers or capacity. So if freight goes up 5%, it most likely is going to feel closer to 10 to 15%. So definitely one of the things we want to watch, and we're going to watch closely here on the Rig on Wheel show featuring MVT. In other news, additionally, fuel went down for the 9th week in a row. If you remember about 9 weeks ago, or the week of April 8th, we were sitting at $4.06 for diesel. That has now dropped, thankfully, to where we're sitting at $3.65 this week. It went down 6.8 cents a gallon for the week, starting the week of January 10th. Biggest decrease happened in the Midwest. That would be mainly the Great Lakes states. That went down 8 cents a gallon. Lowest continues to be New England, went down about almost 2 cents a gallon there. California, of course, the West Coast continues to be the highest rates in the country. West Coast sitting at 437. And if you look at it as an individual state, California is sitting at about 0.491 or $4.91. So the spot market rates, when you look at spot markets, they're all in rates. They include fuel normally. So that's one of the things that at least the rates went down in some areas, but so did fuel. Fuel being a lagging indicator, if you do have direct shipper relationships, fuel lagging indicator, it's generally going down, but it's not officially set to the following week. Your fuel surcharges are normally set on a Tuesday, since the fuel rates come out on a Monday. So this is that time that you can kind of speed the truck up by a couple miles an hour, run that extra load for the week, take advantage of the fact that your fuel surcharge allows you to make money where normally you wouldn't. Now, again, it's a lagging indicator. So when fuel goes back up, it's the opposite. You want to slow down a couple miles an hour and get better fuel economy to take advantage of that. It's one of the things we'll talk a little bit about as we get into segment 3 or 4 and talk about the MPGs with Mesilla Valley Transportation. In other news related to gas, though, and fuel, July 1st is when the effective rates as far as fuel taxes go up for the states of California, Illinois, Indiana, Missouri, and Virginia. California's diesel tax rate will rise up to 45.4 cents a gallon. That's up from 44.1. I can tell you that while the state's gasoline tax edged up at 59.6 cents, that diesel's going to be affecting a lot of folks going in and out of California, especially as we start coming up on produce season. Illinois talked about they have a gradual climb up. They're sitting at about 54.5 cents per gallon for diesel. A lot of the other ones, like Indiana, traditionally has been a cheaper one at 35 cents a gallon. Missouri's 27 cents a gallon. One of the things to keep in mind here, and we'll be watching this closely with it when it comes to this tax, is when you get to the pump, technically the fuel companies or the oil companies like Exxon, BP, they don't make what you see at the pump. A big percentage of that goes into taxes. A big percentage of that goes towards the oil company, plus the actual distributor of the fuel. It's one of the reasons why at MVT we rely on our biodiesel brand. So in select locations, we have our trucks fuel at very specific locations because we can control that cost as well as better fuel economy. One of the things for those drivers that go up to the Northeast, New Jersey, is starting to end up, one of the things that we see more prevalent with EVs or electric vehicles entering the road is California, New Jersey, New York are starting to run into an issue that they won't be able to continue to increase that diesel tax or that fuel tax because now there's a bunch of EVs on the road. California's in discussion right now. We'll see what kind of bills created in the House there in Sacramento to where they're going to end up having to do a flat fee for everybody with an electric vehicle in order to make up for that budgetary difference because they still use the road. So it's going to be one of the things to keep an eye on. One of the groups you can look at when it comes to this, Americans for Tax Reform objected to the move. Americans for Tax Reform, it follows these prices on diesel and fuel prices closely. Definitely a group worth checking out as they try to lower this down, cover a bunch of other taxes. But from a trucking standpoint, it's absolutely one of the things that we're going to watch closely. Not only to consumers, but as drivers, diesel fuel makes up the biggest percentage of our out-of-pocket expense once you bought the equipment. Your average truck costs about $200,000 to $225,000 at this point coming off the assembly line. Your trailers are running anywhere between $30,000 to $40,000. Once you get past all that, you have to pay the driver, and then you have to pay for the fuel. The driver is going to be at a set rate. You're not going to drop their pay down if you want to have good retention. That fuel is where you save money. And so as MVT, we average about 9.5 miles a gallon in an industry that averages traditionally about 6.5 miles per gallon. And you'll find out later we will reward our drivers for that. In other news, there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on in Washington. Trump got found guilty. Hunter Biden's been found guilty. I'm not going to cover a lot of that, but basically everybody's guilty and has done something wrong. So with that said, Nimmer, Josue, good to have you on board. That is the news that's going on in the industry here. Nimmer, if you could tell the group here that's listening in this week, how long have you been with Rig on Wheels, and just overall, what do you love about the job and getting to recruit truck drivers, professionals of the road?
Yeah, so like I've been with Rig on Wheels since October of 2022, so like more than over a year now. And I really like this job, mainly because I think I'm able to help people like find their jobs that they actually like. Um, like many drivers, they call and they're like, I want to spend more time with my family, I need more home time. Or then there are people like, I want more pay. So it's more like being able to help people that I like the most about this job.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of ways to make a living in this world. When I set out in this industry, I didn't know what the pathway would be for me necessarily. But at the end of the day, the most rewarding part of this job is we get to help people. It is a sales job. It is definitely a sales job. But the thing that's rewarding about it is that ability to make somebody's life better is unbelievably exciting. Can you think of a time where you've hired a driver, Nimmer, and that driver's communicated with you after the fact, and you've gotten that positive reinforcement about doing something right or placing somebody in a better walk of life?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, the driver that got hired last week with MVT, Raphael Green, like I was trying to reach him, like how did the orientation go and everything. Like at first he was not able to answer because he was in orientation, and then he finally got back in touch with me. He's like, yeah, everything went very well, and I'm like so happy. MVT is a top-notch company. I'm so grateful and all that stuff. So like it actually like makes us happy as recruiters when drivers give that feedback.
Yeah, and Raphael went into Division 329, which when we get to our hot jobs is one of the divisions we're going to cover this week. Really good driver based out of the Houston metro area. Made a positive impression during orientation. I know his fleet manager is excited to have him working with us. Really nice background, and I think he's going to do that Texas regional. Looking forward to hearing about what happens with Raphael Green, because excited to have him as one of our coworkers here at MVT. Josue, I want to ask you the same question. You know, you've had a while to do this now. When did you join MVT? And I know you came from a different department until you ended up in recruiting. If you could kind of talk about when you joined and how you ended up moving into recruiting and what you like about it.
Yeah, for sure. I've been with MBT for 3+ years already. Funny story is when I applied for MVT, I applied for a customer service representative, basically, talking to the customers, kind of just, letting them know where their loads are at. That was a position I applied for. But when I got interviewed, I guess they thought that I had a little bit better. I guess like my skills were for staff recruiting, so I got hired for staff recruiting, very similar to what I'm doing now, but basically, hire dispatchers, fleet managers, etc. Right. So once I did the change, I was a little bit nervous just because I wasn't a lot aware of the industry, the trucking industry. But being here for 3 years now, I love it. I love the fact that you could connect with drivers. They might live in Nashville, and I could live in El Paso, hundreds of miles away, but we always relate to something, either sports or just personal life, having kids, being married, and you kind of just start building that relationship. They text you even after they get hired, hey, how's the kid, or how's the kiddo, how's the wifey. So getting the job for them is definitely rewarding, but also I guess like the relationships you build like through the process, and I think it's great.
By the way, for anybody watching right now, if you want to ask any questions or have anything explained to you, by all means, utilize the systems that you're watching this if you're watching it live. So it could be a comment, it could be a question. We're always happy to hear from you and engage with you as we do this. Josue, that's a great point, and similar to how I got into trucking. I had family in trucking, relatives that were drivers in trucking. I do not belong on the road. I am impatient. I am the worst personality type that you could stick in a truck. The day you see me driving an 18 wheeler, something has gone very wrong in our industry, and we are way too desperate for drivers. With that said, I had applied, I want to say the end of 2005. Oh my gosh, I am older than I realized. Applied in 2005 for a sales position that I didn't realize it, but I was woefully unqualified for. Had a great conversation with an HR woman named Bonnie Gurrell, and literally 2 weeks later, we were recruiting truck drivers. Now, I had the advantage. I kind of understood the lingo and some of the speak, being that my family was in trucking. But with that said, a couple weeks later, I had my first hire, and I was fairly hooked on it. It was fun sticking somebody in a position where they bettered their lives. I'm a big believer in capacity development more so than recruiting. And capacity development is putting the right driver in the right place with the right company to be successful. And it's one of the advantages of Rig on Wheels. As a driver, you would spend, Rig on Wheels works with over 40 different carriers, not just Mesilla Valley Transportation. So the challenge is, though, is if you wanted to reach out and talk to 40 different trucking companies, it will take you all week. You won't be running any freight. You're going to have about 15-minute conversations with 40 different recruiters. Where one of Nimmer's jobs here is really acting as your free agent. Imagine yourself like an athlete or a major league soccer player or a baseball player. you have all these teams vying for you. In particular, if you have a really good, strong background, a lot of opportunities available to you, it can get confusing. And if you go get a cell phone and just start making calls, you will be inundated over the next week to the point that you won't be able to remember company A versus company B. Part of Nimmer's responsibility here is really going, what are your wants? What are your needs? Let's talk about your background a little bit, and being able to simplify all that down, going, you know what, I have one option, I have two options, I have three options available to you, reviewing the options available to you. And then ultimately, Nimmer communicates with somebody like Josue here at the actual carrier side of it. There's a discussion between Nimmer and Josue, understanding, hey, this is a candidate, he has this background, this is what they're looking for. So by the time you actually get to Josue, in our world, you've been pre-qualified. From your perspective, we've had to pre-qualify with you too. You kind of already have an idea of what you're getting into. So by the time you actually get to Josue, Nimmer and Josue are, for lack of better terms, singing from the same hymn sheet. They know the job, they know what the opportunity is, and it gives you the opportunity and instead of spending an entire week basically being an operator on the phone, you have one conversation, you fill out one application, and you go to the company that best fits your needs without having to become a recruitment expert. It takes a lot of time to get really good at recruiting. As a professional driver on the road, if you're really good at the recruiting processes, you've spent way too much time talking to recruiters instead of dealing with one single source. So it's one of the things to keep in mind, and it's really the importance of a person like Nimmer and Josue in that process. And so I'm excited to have you two on board. We're going to have some follow-up questions. Kayla, if you could, I'd like to have a commercial break run. I'll let you take your pick of the commercial break. But when we come back from that commercial break, I'm going to have a few more questions for Josue and Nimmer. I want to ask them about what their favorite division is, what they find drivers normally ask for. And again, we'll always take Q&A when available. Kayla, are we ready for a commercial?
We are.
Surprise me.
My name's Josue Fierro, and I am a recruiter, and I've been with Mesilla Valley going on 3 years now. Before I joined the Mesilla Valley Transportation family, I was at JCU as a loan officer. I feel that I acquired some skills there, providing customer service, learning, to listen to the customer and, learning patience. I think that helped me out right now where I'm at with Mesilla Valley Transportation, because I could actually apply those skills to what I do now, which is, helping drivers, getting them behind the wheel and getting them a job. So basically what I do here in recruiting, it's something good. We for sure give jobs to drivers, so it feels good, that we help people. Communication is great there in our department, from leadership to employees. We have a good working environment there, and it feels homey. Like, it feels like a home environment. It feels a family-oriented environment. So, yeah. I guess I acquired skills here at Mesilla Valley Transportation. One of them would be knowledge of the transportation industry. I was not aware of the transportation. I was just more into financing, and I think it's good to know that transportation takes a big role in our country, and we do something good here. What made me apply Mesilla Valley Transportation was basically word of mouth, the reputation that this company has. You see them everywhere on billboards, the trucks in the street. You see, you hear them in the news ads. So you see Mesilla Valley Transportation everywhere, and you just hear from people here, local people, saying that Mesilla Valley is great. It's a great company to work for, and I was excited to join. My life changed when I joined Mesilla Valley Transportation in a big way. And one of them was them, of course, providing stability, giving me a peaceful state of mind, knowing that I could provide for my family, knowing that I could do what I do every single day without worries of, job security, in other words. And they actually helped me out a lot as well. As far as my daughter, she's 17. She wanted to get a first job in the summer. Marketing was able to go ahead and help me out, bring her in here as an internship over the summer, which she loved. She gained a lot of experience for her being her first job. Now she loves it. Now she wants to go to school for it and get a degree. So she's happy, and I'm happy. I would definitely recommend people to work here. It's ever since I walked here the first day, it felt like a family-oriented work environment. Everyone's smiling, everyone's friendly, everyone talks to you like if they know you for years. So for sure, if I had to go ahead and tell someone, I would definitely recommend someone to work here at the Sea Valley. My name's Josue Fierro. I'm a driver recruiter, and MBT changed my life.
Guys, welcome back. Glad to have you here on the Rig on Wheels podcast featuring MVT. Again, I'm Robert Pierson. I'm sitting here with Nimmer and Josue. Nimmer's with Rig on Wheels. Josue is with MVT. I work with him as a coworker, and so it's always exciting to see that last commercial break and what brought Josue here, and ultimately what keeps him here, valuable member of the team. Back in Mansfield, Texas, we have Kayla. Kayla, do you have a question for us?
Yes, I do. We had a question come through asking, how do you find the candidates that you're looking for?
So I think there's two ways we can answer this. So Nimmer, do you want to give Rig on Wheels perspective? And then I'd also like to kind of talk about that on the MVT side.
Sure. So like on our side, what we do, we have a job board on job board. We post the jobs, and also like we send you out job alerts if we have like a hot opening. Like send you text messages like this is what this job is paying. You'll be running in these areas and all that stuff. So drivers apply through that, or we have the job boards from where they usually fill out their applications.
Yeah. On the MVT side, and this gets into where we have a relationship with Rig on Wheels. So we do have recruitment advertising dollars. We spend money to be on job boards and do Google pay per click and a number of other things. But then we also work with what we refer to as independent recruiters. Some people would know them as third party recruiters. Part of the advantage of why we do both of those things is from a cost efficiency standpoint, but it also works for us in terms of quality of the driver. And quality of the driver does not mean if it's a good person or bad person. Quality of the driver really means, does a driver align with our operational needs? So there might be a great driver, as an example, in Pocatello, Idaho. I have no freight that goes to Pocatello, Idaho. I could never get that person home, and quite frankly, they would not enjoy the experience, and neither would we. The advantage with working with an independent recruiter on top of our normal efforts there is we tend to get a candidate that already understands the job, and they've been vetted. And vetted, I don't mean do you have tickets, accidents, but vetted as in, hey, you told me what you want. We have these opportunities. The driver has chosen us before we ever have that conversation, which is an amazing advantage for the carrier, and it's an amazing advantage for the driver. Imagine if you lived in a world where you're dating and you knew as you showed up for that first date, you're all nervous, but the very first date, oh, I already like this person. Like, you don't have to worry about that. You're showing up to the first date already knowing, oh no, I like this person. We think the same way. We're going to talk about the same things. Now, I can't help you with the dating part. I have not figured that part out, and I'd probably be a millionaire if I did. But from a driver standpoint, think of it as though you're dating. It's that courtship. It's understanding, hey, I'm looking for this. This is what's important to me. Rig on Wheels acts as that conduit that allows that to happen. So by the time you get to Josue, you know that you're probably going to like us, and we know that we're probably going to like you. It ends up making the experience faster, but ultimately more successful in the long run, because we've already been basically matched up. Nimmer and the Rig on Wheel team are like eHarmony in the world of trucking. Granted, Kameel may word it differently when she comes back next week, but let's call it the eHarmony of trucking. So it's one of the advantages that we have in that process. One of the things I would advise, and I'm going to have the same question for Josue and Nimmer though, is when you're a driver, be open and transparent. I promise you at this point, Nimmer and Josue have heard it all. They've heard everything about, hey, I have this in my background. Hey, I have this that I'm looking for. It's going to be very hard to shock either one of these individuals at this point. I'm not saying it's not possible. I've been proven wrong, but it's going to be hard to shock them. Let me ask, I'll start with you, Nimmer. From a driver standpoint, what is a common question that most drivers ask? Obviously, a lot of people outside of trucking are going to make the assumption, oh, it's pay. Whoever pays more gets the driver. That is not necessarily the case. So when you talk to a driver, what do you find the common things are that a driver is asking about or concerned with beyond simply pay?
Um, they're like concerned about almost like work environment. So many drivers are like, we are like sick of being treated as a number. We need a company that's gonna value us. And on top of that, many of them are concerned about equipment, like what kind of truck are we gonna drive? Because they're gonna stay in the truck for like a week or 2 weeks, so it has to be a good quality truck. So equipment one of the main concerns of drivers.
Josue, what would you say to that?
For me, it's a little bit of course, that, and then I would say stability. I've been hearing a lot, like they'll tell me to just give them a little bit of recap of the company. How long have we been open for? How many trucks do we have? And it's sometimes, I mean, it feels good to hear that because, I feel like, their knowledge of the position, they're not looking at us as a revolving door position. I'm pretty sure they're saying that because they want to go ahead and stay here for long term. So it's good to have a little bit of, give them the insight of Mr. Valley, how long we've been here, and just give them a little bit of spill of the company for sure.
Both of you had a really interesting point, and I'll hit on Nimmer's and then Josue's. Nimmer, one of the things that's interesting here is drivers often feel like second class citizens. And what I mean by that is at a lot of companies, it's office personnel and then drivers, almost like there's two separate companies taking place. And a lot of times it's not intentional. I honestly believe at most companies, your CEOs, your VP of ops, they're good people. It's not an intentional thing. But when you have 100 drivers, you probably have 15 dispatchers, you have a bunch of load planners. There's people that you see in the office setting every day. That driver, you don't have that luxury. That driver could be 1,500 miles away from the terminal. And so, from a driver's perspective, it is unbelievably frustrating where you feel like you're literally calling a customer service line trying to order a new cell phone, but you're not. You're calling your coworker and you can't get in touch with them or you can't get answers to things. So a driver having that, I completely understand it. One of the things that we do that's unique at MVT, we have a company that, most drivers, if they can get past their first 6 months at a carrier, they're going to be wildly successful. But that first 6 months is really, really difficult because you don't know who to call for this problem or that problem. So one of the companies we work with is called Hello Retention. And Hello Retention, literally, their sole job is just to call you every single week to check on how you're doing or take a call from you or answer a question. So the reason why that's important is when a driver complains, that's not a bad thing for a carrier. It's an opportunity. Granted, when the driver calls and says, I don't like this or this is bad, a lot of fleet managers will be very hesitant to go, oh, here we go again, another complaint. It's not a complaint, it's an opportunity. The driver is giving you an opportunity to solve a problem. And that's ultimately how you build relationships. So, what Hello Retention will do is we'll have a lady named Lauren physically call every driver every week. And you may have a problem with your APU, or it may be, hey, my truck has this issue, or I don't like my dispatcher, could be an opportunity. Well, that's an opportunity for a carrier to step up. Because what I have found with Hello Retention since we've used them going on about a year at this point is that if you can solve the problem within about 24 hours, the driver's not going to leave. The driver will stay with you. They're going to trust you. And quite frankly, it's how you build a relationship. Um, would you give any advice to carriers on if you want to build a relationship with a driver, understanding you don't have that face to face interaction? From your perspective, is there any advice you'd give a carrier on how to essentially make a driver feel like a part of the team rather than some outcast on the road?
Yeah, it's basically like listening to them because most of the times drivers are like, I've complained to this company numerous times that I'm having this issue with whatever it might be, maybe the truck or maybe anything. Like I've complained them numerous times, but I don't get a solution to my problem. Or sometimes I just keep on calling them and they don't get in touch with them. So maybe like being responsive and actually like addressing their complaints or concerns that they have. Um, that's the main thing that companies can do, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Sway, from a consistency standpoint, I'm going to turn it the same way to you here. Think of yourself, you're someone that recruits drivers. What advice would you give a carrier that they need to heed your warning on in terms of ultimately retaining a driver? Because it's one thing to hire the driver, holding on to the driver is a different perspective. How would you tackle that?
I would say just building relationship with the driver. You know, as fleet manager to the driver, or even dispatchers to the drivers. That way, they could feel like their concerns are being heard, or like their voice is being heard. So it's not just me and the driver, and I get them in, and that's it. Like also fleet managers and people behind the scenes that talk to the driver on a regular basis is building that relationship with them. That way, the driver feels that they have someone with them when they're out on the road.
I couldn't agree more. Well said. Kayla, I want to do this. Let's run a commercial with Carlos Vasquez. He does a great job on that. We'll run that commercial, and when we come back, let's have the divisions ready. Let's talk about hot divisions, hot jobs available at this moment at MVT. Then we'll go ahead after that, watch Joe featuring the big blue beasts that are the trucks for Mesilla Valley Transportation, and we'll get into that discussion as well regarding MPGs. Would you be able to do that for us, Kayla?
Absolutely.
Let's roll.
Mi nombre es Carlos Vázquez. Tengo trabajando 3 años aproximadamente y somos B1 y andamos en territorio de Estados Unidos. Lo que me gusta de MBT es que tiene buenos viajes, buenos camiones y muy buenas millas. Mi comunicación con el despacho es muy buena y todo eso, y siempre están a la orden del día. ¿Qué pienso del equipo de los camiones? Pues que están muy bien y les dan sus mantenimientos, sus PO y todo lo demás, alineación y balanceo, todo, cambio de llantas y excelente servicio. La compañía cada trimestre regala un auto para los trabajadores. Me motiva pues a crecer más como persona y pues, para dar el 100, como dicen, para la compañía.
Thank you for that. I do want to mention the Faces of the Road calendar. This is available at rigonwheels.com. Faces of the Road features the diversity of our trucking industry, as it says on the back. Inclusivity is our fuel, diversity is our engine, and unity is our destination. Very cool video, or very cool calendar. It's one of my kids' favorite that's currently in our house, as well as the office here at MVT, i.e., why I have this moment. June, of course, is up, has all the important calendar dates that you could possibly want, including last month when it showed when the safety blitz was taking place. Really beautiful artwork. A lot of the social media links available for Rig on Wheels on here as well. Again, that's the Faces of the Road calendar. They'll have an edition of this for 2025. So if you go to rigonwheels.com, be sure to look at the Faces of the Road calendar. Very popular. And like I said, in my household, we definitely love it. Kayla, let's talk about some hot jobs. You stick the job up, and we'll talk about the hot job. All right, we're going to start with our team option, Division 110. The average driver on this averages about $1,600 to $1,800 a week. Really nice home time, weekly home time on this. We're actively hiring out of Albuquerque, El Paso, DFW. You're going to have nice length of haul on this. A lot of drop and hook. With our teams, we're generally averaging about 90% drop and hook, because the goal with teams is to run those miles. Hits a number of accounts for us. It's definitely available at this moment. It's probably our hottest division at this moment in terms of driver freight. Freight wise, we're overbooked on this division routinely. Our drivers are making really good money on this. As a team, you should be looking at $3,200 to $3,600 a week. Again, that's with weekly home time, and that's one of the things to keep in mind with any of our divisions. We have very few divisions that stay out over the road longer than that. Most of the time, if you're a pre-made team, if you're going to a lot of our competitors, you're going to be staying out a few weeks at a time. You can run expedited freight as a team and still have a life outside the truck with MVT. So Division 110 is one of those divisions that you should definitely ask Nimmer about as you reach out to us. Kayla, let's try the next division as well. Now, this is my personal favorite. This ultimately is Texas Regional. We're running out of Houston, DFW, San Antonio, Laredo, and Mount Vernon, Texas is where we're actively hiring from at this time. Division 329 is always going to be a focus for us. Our most expansive freight growth is taking out of Houston and DFW. So really big opportunity here for a driver. So be sure to check out Division 329. It's Texas Regional, weekly home time. You're never more than a day away from the house. Again, majority's drop and hook. The length of haul is shorter, but if you have a lot of drop and hook, really nice opportunities there. Your lesser experienced driver with 6 months is going to be about $1,200 a week. Your person with 2 years of experience going to be closer to that $1,800 a week range. Very popular division for us. We could probably take 6 to 10 individuals for this next week, another 6 to 10 the following week out. We're very careful never to over hire for any division because we want to make sure that freight matches up with our driver count. But Division 329 is definitely a division we're going to want to watch closely. We have opportunities. I will say this, jump on it quick though. The division fills up fairly fast. So if you're the last person to apply, you may not get that opportunity. So be paying attention to that. Additionally, I will tell you that this looks like a solo division. We do take teams on this division. Now, the team might run to El Paso and back into the colored freight pattern that you see here. We have about 12 teams that run this division. We could use another 3 more teams. Could be husband and wife, could be brothers, could be lifelong friends. But if you have somebody you want to run with, really nice division to run team on there for that division as well. And Kayla, let's hit your last division. We're going to talk about Division 440. This is a division that, again, weekly home time, actively hiring out of Memphis, Nashville, and Houston for this division. Honestly, the division here that I would, the part of this that I'd focus on is you have the least stressful running out of all the divisions. You're running Southeast Regional. Once you get out of Houston, you really don't have a lot of huge traffic issues, excluding one-off scenarios. Nice weather, strong miles, a lot of drop and hook. Average driver on this is about $1,100 to $1,300 a week, so the pay is a little bit less. But the stress involved with driving this part of the country is very easy. If you're a professional over the road that's looking for a division where, look, I'm going to go out, I'm going to get home every week. I don't want to deal with the Northeast. I don't want to deal with California. I really just want to drive and be left alone. This division's phenomenal, and I love the customer base in this division. Most of our customers for this particular division have been with us about 20 to 30 years at this point. This is a division that you're going to love the consistency, the home time, and the running area. Kayla, I appreciate you putting that up on the board for us. Again, though, we have a lot of opportunities when it comes to divisions. So keep in mind, we have other options. So if you live in places like Portland, Oregon, Salt Lake City, Phoenix, Denver, Colorado, or the Colorado Front Range, Albuquerque, Las Cruces, El Paso, Del Rio, Laredo, San Antonio, Houston, DFW, Little Rock, St. Louis, Memphis, Nashville, Louisville, Jacksonville, Florida, we have other divisions available for you. And then keep in mind with Rig on Wheels, they represent over 40 different carriers. So if I didn't mention a location that you currently live, call Rig on Wheels today at 281 968 3100. That's 281 968 3100. There's a lot of opportunities. So if I didn't list off a location that you presently live at, don't assume there's not an opportunity for you. Nimmer is going to go over the whole number of clients that they have to ultimately whittle it down to the location and the opportunities that best fit you. Hey, Nimmer, I appreciate that. By the way, I'm not Kameel, so I skipped a step. You can also go to rigonwheels.com. Rigonwheels.com is always a great place to go to fill out an application, get additional information. And as you can see, we understand Kameel will be back next week. Thank God. Nimmer, hey, I got a question for you. You get to actually experience this and you talk to drivers on a routine basis. What's your favorite division to recruit for?
Um, Definitely the 329, as it has been like
And why?
open recently for the past few weeks.
Yeah.
It's basically because drivers are just running in Texas and as far as Oklahoma City, so they like really like that run, just staying in Texas, like not having to go anywhere, and it pays pretty well and it has good home time. So definitely that's one that I really like.
I'd agree with you. You're never really more than a day away from the house. One of the things is life happens. Yes, you are out 5, 6 days at a time, But God forbid, let's say something goes wrong. And if you live long enough, something's going to go wrong. A family member's going to get sick. A kid's going to have a unexpected parent teacher conference that they didn't tell you about until 2 days beforehand. Something is going to happen in your life that, oh crap, I got to get home. 329 allows that to happen. You're never that far away from home. And trust me, as much as I want to move freight today and tomorrow, I want to move freight with you going on the next few years. This is a long term. This is a marathon. This is not a sprint. That division, that's a nice attractiveness about it, is that when life hands you lemons, you're able to make lemonade because you can get home and get it fixed. And as a driver, a lot of people outside of trucking may not understand the advantage of that. But as a driver, your ability to get home quickly cannot be overstated. What about you, Josue? What's your favorite division to sell and why?
I would say Division 440. We just went over it
Nice.
just because some drivers, as soon as they start hearing Pennsylvania, they start hearing New York, they start getting like turned off. They start. I feel like I'm hitting a wall with these guys, or even California. Oh, the speed limit is this in California. There's a lot of regulations in California, so I know that I also hit a wall that way. So I think 440 is a very attractive for me because I could get rid of those two obstacles off the bat. And like you said, it's a nice running lane. You would never see, the East Coast or, the West Coast in California. So it's kind of like a nice route for the driver. The pay is a little bit low, like you said, but I mean, what you were talking about, just it's super easy to route. You're staying away from areas that a lot of drivers don't like to go to, and you get home weekly. I mean, I think it's a winner.
I think one of the things to recognize when it comes to pay is there's a reason why certain jobs pay certain amounts and other jobs pay other amounts. So, as an example, we have a Division 220 that we hire for out of Phoenix, out of Salt Lake City, out of Portland, and El Paso. That can make up to $106,000 a year. You're running the Western 11 U.S. states. You're making that money because you're taking on the challenge of running the Western U.S., which is almost all mountains, Rocky Mountains. Where we have other jobs that may pay 50 or 60 a year, but it's because you'll get to avoid cities. You're not running the mountains. So one of the things that the recruiter will work with you on is talk about that. So there's certain markets where we have 8 different opportunities. In El Paso, I may have 8 different jobs. In DFW, I have 7 different jobs. So that's part of that conversation that takes place with NIMR of understanding what your wants are, your needs are, because the challenge is here, NIMR can go and list all 7 opportunities. In all fairness, if I try to give you 7 opportunities all at once, hell, I'm going to have trouble remembering it. And I work for MVT. You're definitely going to have trouble remembering it. The idea is figuring out what your wants and needs are, because then we can start taking that 40 and whittling it down to the thing that works best for you. I will say this too. None of our jobs require you to touch freight. You don't need any endorsements. We require 6 months of experience in the last 12 months or 1 year in the last 3 years of experience with a safe, stable work history. I can tell you that ultimately we want to find the best job for you. I'm not worried about hiring a driver and having them sit in orientation. I'd much rather have a driver get hired and I'm seeing them at a driver appreciation event a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. And that only happens if I put you in a position where you're going to succeed. If I don't put you in a position where you're going to succeed, you're going to get pissed off. And about 45 days to 6 months later, I'm not going to see you anymore. And I've not done my job as a recruiter. And I take a lot of pride in that. Our recruiters, Josue is not judged by what his orientation looks like. He's really judged 6 months, 12 months down the road. That ultimately is where Josue's value comes to us. It's not the orientation. You're not another notch in the bedpost. We ultimately want you to be successful and be with us as a direct coworker. I view you as a professional driver the same way I view a fleet manager or a VP of operations or a VP of HR. You're that important and matter to us. You are right there with us. And so I'm excited by that, and really good answers from both of you there on that divisions. I don't know whose is better, but I'll go ahead during the commercial break and we'll weigh who had the better answer on that. With that said, Kayla, can you run the commercial? Actually, do you have any questions for us? Or are we ready for a commercial break?
We are ready for commercial break.
Nice. Let's run it with 6'3" Joe, who's standing up straight up in the cab of our big blue beast.
At Mesilla Valley Transportation, every driver is behind the wheel of a late model International LT, a truck that takes comfort, convenience, and safety to a whole new level. Join us as we explore the impressive features of this powerhouse on wheels. The open road is full of surprises, and sometimes that includes unexpected encounters with wildlife. But worry not, the International LT has you covered. The front end protection guard offers an extra layer of defense, protecting you from animal strikes. Drive with confidence, knowing that you're shielded from the unexpected. We all know how important it is to keep our batteries charged, and our International LTs have your back. The Cummins X15 is equipped with an auto start feature, ensuring that your batteries are automatically recharged when they run low on volts. It's a seamless process that keeps you powered up and ready to hit the road. Disc brakes and an engine brake provide reliable and safe stopping power when you need it most. You can have peace of mind knowing that you're in control. Safety is at the forefront of what we do. Our International LTs are equipped with top-of-the-line safety features to ensure your well-being while out on the road. These tractors are equipped with bend occlusion protection, collision mitigation, and lane departure warning. Achieving good fuel efficiency deserves recognition. With the International LT, your efforts don't go unnoticed. When you consistently achieve impressive miles per gallon, the International LT rewards you with increased speed. It's a little extra motivation to keep you pushing for better fuel economy. After a long drive, you're ready for a well-deserved break. With the International LT, you can enjoy your rest period in absolute comfort. Thanks to its auxiliary power unit, you can keep the driver's cabin heated or cooled just the way you like it. No matter the weather outside, you'll always find your sweet spot within our International LT. The International LT understands that comfort extends beyond driving. It's a space where you can truly feel at home. I'm a big guy, and I have room to move around in here. With plenty of room to spare, the International LT accommodates even the tallest drivers. And there's ample storage for all your clothes, cooking essentials, and tools, making life on the road even more convenient. Speaking of cooking, bring along your appliances and don't sacrifice any luxuries thanks to all of our International LTs being equipped with built-in inverters. Dry your hair, make a smoothie, or play a game, all from the comfort of your truck. We take pride in our well-maintained fleet. And if by chance you do come across something wrong on your truck, you're never far from help thanks to our valuable relationship with Penske. With more than 750 brick and mortar Penske shops nationwide, their expert team is always ready to assist you. From routine maintenance to unexpected repairs, they'll get you taken care of and back on the road in no time. And there you have it. Just a few things about this late model International LT that make MVT the place to be.
Guys, welcome back. Glad to have you on board here. Love our equipment. The International LT is a beast of a truck. You know, I grew up in a family that was in love with Kenworth. My grandfather was an owner operator for 54 years, loved his Kenworth. I didn't think I'd be converted over to International. And for those of you that don't necessarily understand, there's a lot of loyalty to a truck, just like a vehicle. Some people love a Toyota, some people love a Ford, a Dodge. You start to fall in love with a brand. Love the International LT. It's a fantastic truck. The key thing on that truck is from a comfort standpoint. When you're away from home, that truck is your home. The sleeper berth on that truck is 71 inches. So it's built for a team. Even our solo drivers are in that truck. So it's a 71-inch sleeper berth where most regional carriers, which I'd kind of column us as, are normally in a 56-inch sleeper berth. You have room to move around. You can exercise. You can stand up straight. And with the APU unit, where more and more locations won't allow you to idle, the APU unit allows you the opportunity to go ahead and be air conditioned. I've seen people watch TV. I've seen people play video games. I've seen people, like Joe was in that video, making a smoothie. It's a phenomenal vehicle. And then when you combine our relationship with Penske, things are going to go wrong at any trucking company. If you take 100 trucks right off the assembly line, there's going to be one that will fail an inspection. So the key here is to get you equipment that you're comfortable with. And then with Penske, when something does go wrong and the truck goes down, Penske has hundreds of networked locations across the country. So as an example, let's say you're on a load going from Dallas up to Denver and your air conditioner doesn't work, which at this time of year definitely matters. So your air conditioner doesn't work. You contact the maintenance department. Hey, we have a location in Amarillo. Stop there. Penske realizes, hey, this is going to take like 6 hours to fix. We need you to keep moving. We got a load to move on to Denver. Penske will give you a subunit. You will go on to Denver, complete out your rotation on the engineered lane, and when you get back through Amarillo, they'll have your truck waiting for you. That's very unique compared to a lot of companies. Penske is a valuable partner with us on that, and so that definitely separates them. Now, one of the things I want to talk about is our MPG bonus, and one of the things that's always fun is instead of like a lot of carriers where we do our driver appreciation during the month of September, we do a driver appreciation event once a quarter. There's two reasons why we do that. A, it gives us a better opportunity to meet with drivers face to face, which ultimately want to do. And B, it's a chance to realize driver appreciation is not 1 week every year. It is an ongoing thing. You should appreciate what people on the road do. That is not a job. It is a lifestyle. It is anybody that goes, I want a job, don't understand what a driver does on the road. It is a completely different lifestyle. It is for their spouse, it is for their kids. Even in our world where we have really good home time, it is still not a walk in the park. It is not made for everybody. Not everybody should be a truck driver. But if you have what it takes to be a truck driver and you're professional on the road, we want you to know that we value that throughout the year. Josue, I think you were at our most recent driver appreciation event. You had to go there. You were at the location in El Paso. Can you kind of explain what you normally see at our driver appreciation event? You get a unique chance to spend a little more time than I do, but kind of talk to me about what takes place there.
Honestly, to be honest, it feels like a party for the drivers. It does. There's a lot of food, drinks. There's like snacks um, and it's just our main focus as the drivers. We have several cameras here. You see our marketing team just going after drivers and just letting them know how their journey has been, and if, even if the journey is 2 weeks or 6 months or 10 years with Mesilla Valley, you see drivers everywhere. We celebrate our drivers, a lot of smiles in everyone's face, and everyone's just looks like a family party. Not everyone's hanging out, everyone's eating together, and it's a nice party for sure.
Oh, I'd agree with that. My favorite part of it is the MPG bonus giveaway. Every driver appreciation, we get to give away a brand new car to whoever has the best fuel economy. Like I said, we are obsessive about fuel economy. In an industry that's averaging about 6.5 miles a gallon, we average about 9.5. Now, that's not luck that creates that. Part of it's the equipment. Part of it is we do a lot of tiny little steps that all add up. An example would be if you have a clean truck versus a dirty truck, that clean truck gets 2/10 of a mile per gallon better fuel economy. It sounds like a small thing, but it makes a difference. It's why when we have trucks go through El Paso, our goal is to clean 75 trucks every day because it impacts fuel economy. The biggest factor in that, though, is driver behavioral patterns on the road, by far. So we give away a brand new car to whoever has the best fuel economy every single quarter. Generally, right now, the person with the best fuel economy is averaging anywhere between 12.4 to 12.6 miles a gallon. And it varies by experience level, it varies by division. So, as an example, most recently we had somebody win it who's been with us for 10 years. A couple of quarters ago, we had somebody that had been with us 9 months and was winning the award. And so Royal Jones and the marketing team get together and we get to give a brand new car. It's normally a 2023 Nissan Sentra that we give away. Of course, we'll update it as time goes on to make sure you get the best car possible in that price range. When it's a team, we take the value of the car, we split the money in half and give you the money. But it's a way of going. Not only are you a professional driver, but you accomplished a pretty Herculean task at 12 plus miles a gallon. As a driver, though, you get to see where you're at. So there's an ongoing leaderboard. You can go into the grill area or into the common area of any of our terminals and see where you rank versus your competition every Monday for the quarter, as well as your in-cab communication always shows, starting about a week into the quarter, where you are versus your peer. So as an example, Nimmer may be driving and says, I wonder where I'm at, and can see I'm 84th. So I'm in the top half, but I'm not quite there yet. Additionally, we'll work with you to get better fuel economy. So we have a department called driver services along with a fleet manager that will literally work with you on the trends and patterns that you can implement on the road to give you the best chance at getting that. And ultimately, I can tell you a number of cases where people have been middle of the pack, maybe top of the pack, but ultimately over the course of 6 months got themselves in the leaderboard, working with their fleet managers, Penske, and our driver services department to get them to the top of that leaderboard. It's one of Royal Jones, our founder and CEO of the company. It's one of his favorite things to do is do that car giveaway. He gets thrilled by it every single quarter. I can also tell you consistency matters. And so let's say you never win a quarter, but you're just consistently above 11, 12 miles a gallon. There's an annual bonus. So whoever gets our best fuel economy for the year gets a $25,000 bonus. We have an individual named Roberto Sandoval, been with us 20 years, has referred like 8, 9 drivers to us at this point. Real professional and one of the friendliest people you will meet. He's won that 5 times. So over the course of his career with us, he's made an extra $125,000 just because he's really, really good at what he does for a living. So keep that in mind. It's one of the things that we do that's unique is we're not interested in just being really good drivers. I would stack our fleet up against any other carrier in the industry. We are the professionals on the road. If you see our blue International LT going down the road with MVT on the side, you can be assured you're looking at a professional on the road who knows what they're doing and does it well. They come from all walks of life, all ages, all different backgrounds. We have drivers that come from Zimbabwe or El Paso or Nashville or any place in between. But you can be the one common denominator. They're professionals on the road. They get great fuel economy. We have 0 CSA categories above threshold, which is we're one of the few carriers that can say that. And it's why we have a lot of customers that look at doing business with us that may look at other carriers and go, we can't work with you in the current environment. So one of the things to keep in mind, if you're a professional, you want great equipment, a great collaborative work environment, and quite frankly, to be on a long-term career path, call MVT, reach out to Rig on Wheels. Hey, Kayla, can you do me a phone favor and throw that phone number back up there one last time for us today? That's 281-968-3100. That's 281-968-3100. Or visit rigonwheels.com. You can also follow Mesilla Valley Transportation on our website or at drive4mvt.com, the number 4 at drive4mvt.com, or follow us on social media. We always have a lot of content that we put on Facebook, Instagram. Rig on Wheels is extremely involved with Instagram. Go to Rig on Wheels, though, and you get the lovely Faces of the Road calendar off of rigonwheels.com. You're going to be able to have all those links to their social media, and you're going to get to speak to nice people like Nimmer that ultimately, at the end of the day, want you to be wildly successful. So, with that said, Kayla, did we have any comments, questions, or concerns from any of the folks listening in today?
No other questions, comments, or concerns.
I'll take that as a good thing or a bad thing. I'm confused, but thankfully, Kameel will be back with us next week. I'm excited to have Kameel back. She's at a conference in New Orleans, most likely going to rejoin us next week with a lot of information. Nimmer, to prospective candidates that may see this, is there anything that you'd like them to know and kind of give them a piece of advice for their career?
Well, if you're looking to make a job change, definitely give us a call and just stay safe there out on the road.
Absolutely. Josue, what say you, sir?
We're just excited to, take the applications, take the calls. We're ready to work, your guys' applications. So start applying.
Absolutely. I would end it by telling everybody, invest in yourself, invest in your career, take the time, make your next job search detailed and methodical. Utilize a partner like Nimmer and the team over there at Rig on Wheels to set yourself up not for your next job, but ultimately your career path. There's a lot of drivers right now that have 6, 7, 8 jobs in the last 3 years and are struggling to find work or find, really more importantly, the job that they want. They're able to find a job, but it's not the job that they want. Take the time to really invest in yourself, invest the time in a long-term conversation with that recruiter so that you can ultimately give yourself the best chance of success in the long run. Outside of that, Kayla, I think we're done for today. Everybody, thank you for turning in as always. Nimmer, Josue, I appreciate you. Thanks for getting me through this in Kameel's absence. Everybody, have a great day. Be safe. Take care, everybody.